Hey, how you doing, guys? Before I start the topic, just realize the video you see now, you may see black bars on the right and left side. That's because here soon we're going to be switching to a screencast on my ultra-wide monitor. So my monitor is really big in resolution compared to the 1080p I've got right now. Now, this video has to do with another YouTuber. I love other YouTubers watching their videos for instructional things, and which is Jay Lipman, and his video was on DaVinci Resolve A.C.E.s workflow, which I love, by the way. I'm going to put it in the comment section down below so you can check it out, so you see the relevancy. And now, kind of watching through his video, I had the initial impression to get the A.C.E.s color science or color space to work, the camera had to officially support it. And to give you an example, I'm going to show you some Canon supported A.C.E.s color science cameras, for instance, to give you an example. Now, initially, going through the video, I noticed a couple of things which kind of made me a little skeptical. Some of the footage he used was downloaded from Blackmagic's website, which is in this case a 4K raw footage, which I know, since it's also, they make DaVinci Resolve, that it is officially supported for A.C.E.s color space, so I knew it would work. That was kind of why I was a little skeptical. And that and my initial testing using Jay's workflow and his instructional video, I had some issues too. Well, I went back to his video again and I looked in the comment section. Somebody had a similar problem, which fixed my problem. So it definitely does appear to work quite well. Once you, depending on your type of cameras, obviously. So now, I did notice two of the camera shots seem to match perfectly fine. The other one, Canon C100, which I'm using right now, by the way, didn't seem to quite match. Of course, you have to, just like Jay mentioned and I've said before, the different tools you use to make this work, you can't take it 100%. You may have to do some adjustments yourself to get it to match. And so this is going to be a great way, using DaVinci Resolve and A.C.E.s workflow to match your different cameras. Of course, you can do this different ways. For instance, you can use something like a color chart to match your cameras. That's one way, but you can't always use a color chart, especially if you're doing live events. You can't have the bride hold a color chart as she going down the aisle or something like that. So this way of matching cameras is a perfect way of doing it. So we're going to take a look at the screencast now. So I give Jay 2 big thumbs up on his video. It was initially some issues with my the footage that I fixed. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. We're going to go ahead and attempt to set this here correctly using Lipman's instructions from his YouTube page. So here we're in DaVinci Resolve 16, and I imported 4 different video files. First one is a Blackmagic RAW file. Second is from a Canon C100 I shot myself, which is a C-Log. Third camera's Canon XF100 using a custom picture profile. BBC settings, which you can get on the internet and change them manually. And the last camera is from a cell phone, which is a LG V30 using Filmic Pro and the V2 log. I believe that's the right one. And so we're going to go ahead and set everything up using the A.C.E.s color space so we can do camera matching and all that. And I did initially have some problems, so but we're going to go into it now. So we're going to bring up settings into color management, and per Lipman's instructions, you got to use for color science, you're going to use A.C.E.s CC, 'C, 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 He's saying go ahead and leave the A.C.E.s input alone. Of course, you can't select your camera as well, but it automatically detects it. It should. And then for the output, he did mention Rec 709, which is pretty much standard. It wasn't automatically set, so we're going to go ahead and set that to Rec 709. We're going to go ahead and save it. Now, as you can see, some of the footage is going to be way off still. It should set it up to correct it, at least for the base correction. But here you see for the Canon C100 it is way off, even worse, desaturated. Same thing with the Canon XF100 and as well as the LG V30, way off as well. Now he did mention you can go to the edit page. For instance, for the Canon C100 you can oh, actually before we do that, let me do the other cameras first. There's a reason why. We're going to go to the Canon XF100 first, and you can right click it. From there go to A.C.E.s input transform, and you would set it toward he mentioned sRGB or Rec 709. We're going to go ahead and choose Rec 709, which is going to correct the footage, give you a much better base correction. And then we're going to do the same for the LG V30. We're going to set that toward Rec 709 again. And as you can see, it definitely corrects it to a good base setting right here. Now the Canon C100, it didn't work that way. So we're going to right click that. Instead of choosing, I tried Rec 709 and also sRGB. It didn't really work very well. So what I did was go into A.C.E.s input transform. Instead of doing either of those settings, there isn't a native Canon C100. All they do is have the C200, 300, and 500 and 700. So I went ahead, I decided to choose the Canon C300, and I used the daylight setting. I believe it was Cinema C-Log. And let me see if I can find that. I think this is the one I used right here. And I believe it's a little bit too dark. I think I chose the wrong one still. Let's do it one more time. Maybe this was it right here. There we go. Okay, so there we go. It set all the different cameras to a good base setting where you can do color correction and color grading, and then you can apply it to the other clips. Now, as far as the XF100 and the LG V30, they seem to be the match the best as far as the cameras. Now the C100 is still doesn't quite match with the other two, and because simply it's just a much different camera. Probably I think it has a better color science for things like flesh tones and things like that, so maybe that's why it's still off. So what I could probably do to match them up even better is once I do some color correction and or color grading, I'd probably just do it with the regular color balance and then apply it to the other two cameras, and it should match a bit better. So thanks for Lipton, and of course his YouTube channel, I'm going to put it in the description. Of course, I said before I wasn't unsure because I thought the cameras had to be supported through A.C.E.s color science. It appears that you don't necessarily have to. It seems to work fine. You may have to do some adjustments once you set for A.C.E.s color space. Like I said, you'll have to go in here and perhaps the input, what was that? The A.C.E.s input transform to, if it's way off. So thanks for watching, and see you guys later.